Hey everybody, Jeremy from Follow Me Leadership, and I wanted to talk to you today about. I know I put a video out recently about my book coming out, and I wanted to, kind of just. I know a couple of people have asked about, how to get into writing, and other books that I may have read. This was really my first book that I ever wrote. I've done a lot of writing in the past, doing articles for different magazines or websites. And then I certainly wrote a lot when I was in college. I know years past I was into writing for doing documentaries on things, and as well as a friend of mine I got together. We wrote a movie. But I thought it'd be kind of neat to just kind of discuss the whole writing process and what I went through. I think first and foremost, to me, I had to set a goal. And I basically said, I'm going to do this in 3 months. I'm going to push hard to try to get it done. Because I knew if I didn't set a goal and set it with that kind of time frame, that I'd be sitting here for the next year or two, constantly toying with it, writing every now and then, and it wouldn't really get done. I knew if I wanted to be writing every day, I wanted to have it, especially the bulk of it done within the first month or so, because I knew those ideas, once they were starting to flow, I wanted to make sure I capitalize on getting everything down on paper or on my laptop, really. But it's like anything else in life. You got to set goals. If you don't set goals, you don't achieve anything. So 3 months was kind of my time frame, and I did. I literally finished my kind of conclusion, if you will, or my last paragraph, really, on the 90th day from when I had started, and then I basically took 2 weeks to edit it. But that was the whole thing. Is once I had that goal, then I just jumped right in. And the first day I was typing away, I think I must have did about 25 pages or so. And like I said, this book is about my experiences when I was being bullied as a kid, and everything I went through, and I never went to seek any sort of therapy or anything. That wasn't really for me. So doing this was kind of my therapy, and it was tough writing it, because a lot of this stuff I had suppressed or kind of compartmentalized and pushed down, and I really was bringing these images and these memories back out every day, and it was kind of tough having to relive a lot of this stuff. So it was it's certainly a challenging couple of months to go through, but I knew if I kept on my goal, just get this thing done. I wanted to, get it done and get it ready for publishing, before the end of the school year and before summertime came around, and which is where I'm at now. But yeah, that first day I jumped right in. I think I did about 25 pages, and it was at the end of that kind of run of, it was about, I don't know, 6-7 hours of just banging away on the computer. I finally just said I need to stop for a little bit, and I got up and threw on my sneakers, and I went for a run around the neighborhood, and just to kind of help clear my head a little bit. And I think in writing, you gotta you want to stick to a plan of constantly writing, but every now and then you just got to kind of get up and walk away a little bit. I don't mean go turn on the TV or whatever, but sometimes maybe just taking a walk, or a couple laps around the house or something, just to kind of shake up your mind a little. But yeah, so it was a cool experience. I know one of the goals I wanted to do was, try not to spend a gazillion dollars in trying to do this as well. When I initially started writing, I was looking up, costs and things, and how much it would, cost to, get a book published. And, I immediately realized right away that I was not going to worry about, one of the large professional publishing companies, because frankly I'm nobody to them. So I realized I'd have no chance in getting through the door, getting past the gatekeeper to even get one page in front of somebody. So my goal was to try to do this kind of on my own. I looked up a bunch of different kind of self-publishing sites. One company, BookBaby, really seemed to kind of catch my eye, and I've been talking with those folks for the last I have to edit that out. Yeah, and one website kind of caught my eye, bookbaby.com, was pretty good. And I had some conversations with those folks, and it seemed pretty reasonable. The costs were pretty low, and they were going to do just about everything I would expect out of a large publishing company to do for me. And it wasn't going to cost that much, so if you are interested in getting into writing, I would certainly check out those guys, and there's a couple others similar to them. They seem to be the ones that gave me the most information, and weren't asking me to pay up front to try to just even talk to me. And right now I've got the book. I actually have it out to a couple people that I trust, that have written before, and understand the process of editing and reviewing something. So I've asked them to go through it and give me their honest opinion. Just tell me how they thought it flowed. Did it read right? Did they like it? And then, do they think there's a decent potential for the audience out there? And then secondly, to do some editing with it as well. And, I actually used bookbaby.com, did an online webinar in partnership with prowritingaid.com. And so I sat in on that one day, and it was really good. I had never known of this before, didn't even know such a thing existed. But basically it's an online software system where you upload your book or whatever it is you're writing into their website, and it goes through and tags all the things that you need to edit it. Simple things like spelling and grammar are one, but sentence structure and flow and just the language, and everything, I thought was awesome. And it took me about a week and a half, I think, to go through and correct all the stuff that I had that they had tagged that needed editing. But yeah, so I got that done, and then I think once these other people get done, kind of going through my book and doing some of their own editing, I'll make all those changes, and then probably throw it back into prowritingaid.com again and do like another round of editing, and then I think I'll be ready to publish. I've got, I'm looking at some other folks. My daughter's going to do some artwork for me on it. And these are a lot of little things that, normally you pay big dollars to big publishing companies, so I'm trying to do as much of this, as I can, and make it a real true entrepreneurial, endeavor. This is going to be the first of a series of, I think, 3 books that I'm looking at that kind of follow a progression, and it's really all rooted in leadership. Right now I'm just kind of giving you the history and background of what I went through and being bullied as a kid, but it's going to, really kind of lay out some foundations for breakdown in leadership, both, at the school and outside the school. And then it's going, my next one is going to really start to focus on, a lot of experiences that I had in the corporate world and in the military, and just the ups and the lows of leadership, and when it fails and when it does well. I think there's there's a ton of books out there in leadership, but I think I'm trying to take a unique approach and focus on things that I've experienced and use those to relate to other things, that I've carried, basically experiences in the military, and then carrying those over to the corporate world. But yeah, so my goal is to probably next week start writing on that second one. I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff written, different, pieces here and there, but I got to start putting all that stuff together, and then get my outline together and just start diving right back in. And my goal is to hopefully have that one done by the end of summer, and then I can get working on my third one probably in the fall at some point. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I could say I'll do one a year, but let's just keep going at it. So a couple other things I know I got after my last video I put out. A couple people had emailed me or contacted me on Instagram about wanting to write, and they wanted to know, like, are there good websites to go to find out how to write, or first and foremost, I think writing is it's a challenging thing, but anybody can do it. If you can talk to somebody, if you can have a conversation with somebody, then you could be a decent writer. But there's a lot of things that got to go into that. First, and I would probably really start doing some reading. books that, of a certain style that you're looking to get into. If it's fiction, and you want to, do some fictional writing, then grab some of those books and try to see how the storylines go, see how things, you'll have visions in your head of things that you want to write. But I think it's good to at least read a book and from the perspective of you want to really pay attention to how the story flowed, how things went from page to page, and how much time, whether it was a little spent on different subjects, and if it's if you're getting into more non-fictional writing, then I would say have a point. Make sure you have a pretty clear goal of where you want to get to at the end of that book, and do everything you can do to get there. But the biggest thing, though, I think, regardless of what style you're going to get into and write, is I think you really want to have a thick skin and just accept the fact that some people might read it and think it sucks. You may not be a good writer at all, but that's okay. Still put your story down, but then find somebody you can work with that can, kind of ghostwrite for you or take that story and clean it up. You may find that, you can find a decent writer, even somebody who's a college student, and take that book that you're working on, and maybe you pay them $1,000 and they ghostwrite it for you, and they take everything you did and clean it up. Why not? You can do anything in this world if you want it. So I think there's nothing that's going to stop you from. But I think just make sure that you have a clear goal, and you can get to your point by the end of that book, and just have that thick skin. So so that's it. I just kind of wanted to discuss a little bit about the writing experience. I'll put together another video here shortly and kind of maybe start to talk about, my experiences as a kid and what I went through. I think I'm going to do a little bit more of that, especially as we get closer to publishing the book. I'll hopefully, my goal right now is I'm working on a website to get that up and running where you could buy it through their website, but I'm going to get it listed on Amazon. There's a bunch of different sites that I can go to that will basically be a merchandise site for me that can list it, and then I can, and then they'll handle mailing everything out, so it's really easy this day and age. I don't have to have 10,000 books sitting in my garage and be, boxing them up and mailing them out every single day myself. There's some, actually bookbaby.com has a print on demand feature, which is pretty nice. That, as an order comes in today, that triggers the printer, and they print out that book and then send it to like Amazon, let's say, and then Amazon ships it to you in a day or so later. So it's a pretty good process. And then we'll also have it available for e-readers that you can download. And then at some point, I'm looking right now into the possibility of recording it for an audiobook. And it's something that if I'm going to do that, I want to do it myself. Meaning I want to be the voice on it. I've listened to a couple of audiobooks before. I hate when it's, you're reading a book and you got some random loser that's reading the text for you, and maybe it's I forget the book. It was a book about somebody in the military and their experiences and in battle and everything, and the guy who was narrating the book, who's doing the audio, as he's reading through it, just didn't have a real warlike or manly-like voice, and that kind of disappointed me, because you just can't get into the story when, so I think it's important that if you're gonna write a book and you want to then convert it into an audio book, do the audio yourself. I can't imagine it's going to take that long. Probably a couple of days sitting in the studio and just reading your own book. I can't imagine it's that hard. But to me, I think it's very well worth it. If it wasn't me, then I'd find somebody with a really, kick-ass voice that, I appreciated. But it'll definitely be my voice in the audiobook. So look for that. I'll definitely keep putting out more information once I know I'm ready to go to the printer with it. and then we'll just start advertising and getting it out there. In the meantime, if you like my stories and like what you're hearing from me, if you want me to come and speak anywhere, please let me know. I know for this summer, I've reached out to a couple local universities and high schools that, I've told them, hey, if you want me to come, you're in the Philadelphia area, I'll do it for nothing. I'm happy just to, because I'm passionate about this subject, because I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong in the system and how to fix it. And I just think it's something that we need to really wake up to. So I'm willing to just get my message out there. All I ask, maybe buy my book. But yeah, so just hit me up on email or on Instagram or something. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, and then you'll also get all my podcasts available through iTunes and Audible. Thank you. Take care, everybody.